During the war, Guy unleashed the 8th Gate against Madara when he was a 10 Toes in Jinchuriki, and pushing so far that Madara even called him the strongest taijutsu user, despite the fact that he was holding back. However, how would this go against Obito when he was a 10 Toes in Jinchuriki, despite being weaker than Madara, still possessed power that was greater than everyone else? We will go over both characters separately in the context of speed, AP, durability, and their normal abilities themselves, and then eventually compare the both of them to see who actually won this battle. To not waste any more time, let's jump right into the scaling. Start off with Guy. When it comes to speed, we should establish here that Guy is able to keep up with Juubito. When he first uses the 8th Gate, he's immediately able to run right in front of him and punch him right to the ground, creating a small hole. Now, it is true that throughout this fight, Madara is holding back. However, as we do see with him blocking and attacking the orbs, that he's only holding back to the point of just pretty much just playing defensive, and not just completely where he's letting Guy do whatever he wants. Now, of course, this does still make it very clear that if Madara and Guy were to fight all out, that Madara would win easily. It still really established that for Guy's case, that when he comes from a defensive aspect, Guy's able to react to Madara's defenses and able to get around them. We see this actually when starting the other steps, that he's able to run around in circles in Madara, and while his first step was blocked, he was able to land the second through 5th steps on him. Eventually, when the fight cuts away and it finally cuts back after Naruto and Hagoromo were talking with one another, we do see that Guy was able to land multiple attacks on him, where Madara's still getting excited from it. Eventually, when realizing this wasn't working, he eventually decides to use the Night Guy, while moving so fast that not only does Madara acknowledge his speed as well, but he even acknowledges how he's bending space. Now, it should be noted that Madara was standing still when this was happening, and didn't even activate any of his actual defenses during this time as well. Nevertheless, it's still made pretty clear that with using the Night Guy at least, that this speed should definitely put him at least relative to Madara's speed, at least to some extent. Either way, that does put Guy, at least in speed-wise, above everyone else in the Shinobi Alliance at this point in time, which will even include people like Kakashi and even people like Minato. Now, of course, it doesn't put him at least too far above them, as people like, again, Minato, Kakashi, and Lee and Gar are able to tag team with Guy, whereas where Guy is still told to pretty much keep going forward, Lee is not only able to throw Flying Rising Mark Kunai in front of Guy, but Minato himself is able to teleport to the Kunai and turn around to catch the orbs with his back before Guy pretty much reaches Minato's distance. Now when it comes to AP, as we kind of pretty much applied it before, Guy's abilities are able to hurt Madara. Now again, Madara is holding back during this fight, but we do just see that Madara, after getting hit by 4 steps, was already coughing up blood. And then with the Night Guy, it was seen by Madara himself, when pretty much almost half his body was gone, that he will almost die from it. So it does make it pretty clear that for Guy's attacks, they're definitely on the level of a 6 pass level character, and should be someone that should be strong enough to hurt someone like Madara's level, and people that are weaker than Madara. This is also just backed up as well, as Madara just states that Guy has the strongest taijutsu that he's ever seen. This will again include everyone that he's fought at that point in time. It will only include Hashirama, someone he's fought in the past. And considering that he states this before he uses the Night Guy, this would mean that Guy just using the Sekisou steps themselves are already fast enough to consider, at least in Madara's eyes, to be the fastest taijutsu and the strongest. Now, because of durability, this is where the big problem comes in. Essentially, his durability kind of sucks here. Overall, we do know when it comes to choosing orbs, he can't negate that with his own taijutsu. However, we do know that he technically should have the power to punch through one, as when punching Madara himself. Madara's body did go through his own choosing orb. But the thing is here is that Guy is going through pretty much an unbelievable amount of pain when using the 8th Gate. And while true he did get acclimated to it, it still shouldn't negate the fact that his body is still hurting as the fight is going on. It's even to the point when he uses the Night Guy, that his foot pretty much turns to dust from just using it. So you pretty much just have the case where Guy's bones are pretty much just hurting on itself, and especially when he uses the Night Guy, his bones are just pretty much breaking and his foot just pretty much turning to dust from it. And of course, it's not considering the fact that just using the gates alone causes Guy to die. Overall, this should still at least put Guy at this point in time still at a 6 pass level tier, and someone who could definitely hurt someone like Madara when he's the 10 Toes in Jinchuriki, as well as making him be able to pretty much keep up with Madara to some degree. Now again, as I kind of made clear overall throughout this segment, he isn't equal to Madara, but again, still someone who can at least keep up with him to some level of extent. Now that we went over 8th Gate Guy, it's time to actually go over Obito when he was the Tento's Jinchuriki. To start off with speed with him, he's able to pretty much blitz Hashirama clone and Tobirama so fast to the point where Naruto wasn't even able to keep up what's going on, and Minato was even who knows how fast it was as well. In addition to this, Juubito even keeps his speed as the fight goes on, even when his body is starting to unstabilize itself. For context, when he first comes to Tento's Jinchuriki, despite the fact he's able to destroy the Four Crystal Ray Barrier and the Deity Gates, Obito is at this point in time has no control over the Tento's power. And as the fight's going on, Obito's body is pretty much deteriorating on itself, pretty starting to deform as the fight continues. Despite this, he's still able to even blitz people like Naruto and Sasuke at this point in time, and would have been able to kill the both of them if it wasn't for Naruto grabbing on to Minato at the last second. Now, once Obito finally stabilized himself and got full control of the powers, he actually gets much faster here, where he's able to not only cut off Minato's arm, but even place a Chusekin Orb on his arm socket. To pretty much bring some context when it comes to Minato's speed here, when Naruto and Sasuke are trying to do a combo attack onto Obito, Minato and Tobirama come up with a plan where they pretty much use both their flying Raijins to pretty much teleport Naruto and Sasuke to Obito to allow the attack to land. Of course, Naruto and Sasuke, not knowing this was going to happen, they still plan this out right when Minato running right in front of them to intercept the attack, allowing both Minato and Tobirama to use the flying Raijin reciprocal round robin. This again is really important, as both Naruto and Sasuke did not know Minato was going to run in front of them. Meaning that when Minato did run in front of them, not only were they both shocked as shown on panel, but they weren't able to pretty much take away the attack fast enough. This would actually mean that Minato was much faster than both Naruto and even Sasuke at this point in time, and of course was stable Juubito able to attack Minato fast enough where he didn't realize the orb was on his body, so put him much faster than both Naruto and Sasuke at this time as well. In addition to this, when Minato finally actually gets out of his daze, and him and Naruto are trying to do a combo attack on Obito using Tobirama's Fly Raijin marker, not only was Obito actually able to just intercept this attack, but he's even able to counter with his own tails as well. This would mean that even with the Flying Raijin marker, and both Minato and Naruto in their fastest states, Obito will still be able to be faster than them and knock them away. And after this encounter, Naruto eventually go out again using the same state of using the Biju mode along with Sage mode, and then Sasuke joining him using his Susanoo along with the Curse Mark energy from Jugo, and Obito is still able to keep up with them and still showing them to be superior with them. Eventually, it does take both Naruto and Sasuke to combine their powers together to take down Obito. However, something that should be noted here is that not only does it apply to Obito himself when he states it verbally, and Kakashi himself implies it as well, that Obito is holding back while fighting Naruto and Sasuke. This is something important here, as it does actually put into context with the speed feats before, that he most likely was not only holding back in speed, but even their power. Now going to Obito's AP, we do know that Obito is just strong enough to not only cut apart the Edos, as well as Naruto and Sasuke if he got the chance to, but again, while holding back, via his own words and Kakashi's words, he was able to grab both Naruto and Sasuke in their strongest states, and pretty much fly into the ground, and just slam to the ground so hard that they fall out of their strongest states. Along with this, back when he was unstable, he was able to destroy the Deity Gates, the 10 gates that were strong enough to hold down the 10 Tails itself, and was able to destroy the Form Crystal Ray Barrier. This is pretty important here, as knowledge should stable Obito should scale above this type of power, but along with it being confirmed that Obito is just testing Naruto here, Obito should also have the AP to even kill Naruto and Sasuke in their strongest states, considering the fact that him, while holding back, is able to knock them out of their strongest states easily. Now when it comes to durability, he's able to block anything that's ninjutsu wise and can only be hurt by Sage mode attacks or Taijutsu. We just see this when it comes to Sage mode as his shield gets pretty much melted by Kamishi's spit, and his back actually gets hurt by Naruto's Sage mode Rasengan. Now it is kind of made pretty clear that these feats themselves are not necessarily showing that Obito is actually weak, but more so that the Sage mode itself is more like a kryptonite to his powers. In addition to this as well, Obito is able to take a lot of attacks and block a lot of attacks with his shields in his own body. Now something that should be stated when it comes to some attacks, if they're on his level or attacks that came from him, those are attacks that you just cannot tank at all, as when he was unstable, when trying to shoot a tail beast bomb and he missed, not only when he hit himself, but he pretty much destroyed half his own body from his own attack. So this does mean that when it comes to attacks that are on Obito's level, they can actually hurt him pretty badly. Now when it comes to his actual abilities, this is actually where he really shines, and he has a multitude of abilities to choose from. For starters, he can shoot tail beast bombs, and we usually show in the manga he can do up to 4. Along with this, he can also do the 6 Crimson Ray barrier, allowing him to pretty much create a barrier to control the area he wants to fight in, and as well having the Sword of Juubito, which mirrors the weapon that the Sage of 6 Paths himself used, which is enhanced by his own will. In addition to all this as well, Obito does have the ability to pretty much take out the Ten Tails, as well as using Kamui. Now, a lot of people tend to believe that Obito can't do Kamui because he has the Ten Tails inside of him. However, that's only because he has the Ten Tails inside of him, and as we show later on, he has the ability to take the Ten Tails out when trying to use the Divine Tree to do Infinite Tsukiyomi. Because of this, which also further backs up the idea that Obito was holding back as Naruto and Sasuke, that Obito can use Kamui when he's the Ten Tails, as long as the Ten Tails itself is out of his body. Along with this, while using the Ten Tails now out of his body, he can use the Ten Tails and turn it into the Divine Tree. The tree itself being able to destroy people's chakra, and it also has a mind of its own to go after people that have a lot of chakra. Now, it isn't shown to attack Obito himself, so Obito shouldn't be hurt by his own attack, but against Guy, it should be really useful here. Overall, this does make it pretty clear that being a 6 pass level character, and always Obito can back up with his own power, while has a vast amount of variety of powers he can use and abilities that allow him to fight in this battle. Now that we've over both characters, it's time to actually discuss who won the battle by going over the different categories. Going back to speed, this should be pretty close, as while Guy was stated to be fast by modern standards, Madara was holding back and not fighting to his full extent, being that Guy shouldn't scale to Madara's full speed, and that while Obito was pretty able to be kept up with people like Naruto and Sasuke, he was holding back as well by his own words and by Kakashi's words. We just can at least give the speed advantage to Guy here. While of course Madara is holding back, we do just show, as we stated before, that Guy does have some level to Madara, who is just stronger than Obito here. So even if Obito is much faster than Naruto and Sasuke, we can at least still say that to some degree, that Guy could be a little faster. Albeit, I can't really say comfortably that he will be fast enough to pretty much be able to blitz someone like Obito, as Obito should still be able to keep up with them. Now when it comes to AP, that gets a bit weird, as while Guy technically has a stronger attack with the Night Guy, we don't really know whether or not the Sekizo can actually hurt Obito even worse than he hurt Madara. Now, considering that Obito is weaker, it probably will do a little bit more of a damage, but considering how it has zero effect, or close to no effect to Madara, it probably will be the same effect on Obito, meaning that the only real advantage the Guy has here is just the Night Guy, which should be able to kill Obito, which should allow him the winner in the AP feat. However, it should also be acknowledged that any of Obito's attacks should hurt Guy, as not only his body is already hurting from using the 8th gate, but any true seeking orb attack should be able to kill his body immediately. Now when it comes to abilities, this is where it really shines for Obito here. As we mentioned with Obito before, he has the Tail Beast Bombs where he can at least do 4 of them, the 6 Crimson Ray barrier which allows him to control the area of where he wants to fight. He has his True Seeking Orbs and the constructs that he can create with them, but those include the Sword of Juubito. He also has Kamui, as long as he takes out the Ten Tails out of his body, in which case if he doesn't do that, he doesn't have access to the ability, but if he does, he will have that, and the Divine Tree, which will go after Guy to try to absorb his chakra. And then when it comes to Guy, of course, he really only has the Sekiso steps, which goes from the 1st to the 5th step, and then of course, Night Guy. Now that we went over everything, who actually won this fight? While we did acknowledge that Guy should have the speed and AP advantage here, as is shown through the scaling, it shouldn't be really by much, and the AP is really only shown with the Night Guy. This also doesn't help much for Guy either, as not only does Obito have the much better durability, but he also has the better backup abilities here, as again, he can use the Beast Bombs, he can use the Divine Tree, he can use the Sword of Juubito, he can use his True Seeking Orbs in general, and if he takes the Ten Tails out of his body, he has Kamui. And considering he has Kamui with all the other abilities, it just makes it very clear that Guy can't really do much here. This is not even considering that again with the 8th gate, Guy is on a timer here to where he will eventually just die if he doesn't use it. Now let's say he does use the Ignite Guy anyway to try to land on Obito. Can he land it on him? This depends on whether or not Obito takes the 10 toes out of his body. If he doesn't take it out, then it might have a chance to kill him, albeit as shown with Madara, but even at half his body he can regenerate from it. But you think it can do enough damage to just kill him, it could probably win him and allow Guy to win. However, if he can get the 10 toes itself out of his body, then calmly would allow him just to evade the attack, allowing Obito to win. But to be completely honest here, I don't really see a case of Guy being able to land the attack, as due to Obito's abilities, he should just be able to just kill him before he can do anything. Because of this, if this fight were around 10 times, I would say Obito would probably win 7 to 8 out of 10 times, while Guy can only win about 2 to 3 out of 10 times. Either way, that will be it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And yeah, that is it for the video. It's your boy Harry signing out. Peace.